Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special end-of-year edition of the Neutral Cider Hotel. We've all delved into the inner sanctum of the deep freezer and scraped behind the back of the cupboards in the kitchen to bring you some fabulously rehashed morsels of shows that we've undertaken this year. That's right, it's a gratuitous end-of-year highlight show. And we're all going to have a party.
Hey.
So let's see what we bring in. So obviously, my name is Gabe Cook. I'm the first of the party here. I'm the Ciderologist. Author of Ciderology by Gabe Cook, available now, a.k.a. Mr. Cool AF, a.k.a. a.k.a. the destroyer of two separate entire recordings. Apologies once again, everybody, with some fantastic anti-tech skills, and, English condescender in chief. And as it's a party, I've decided to, bring something along as an offering. It's polite. It's a polite thing to do. And I've just decided to bring all 2,734 remaining copies of Ciderology by Gabe Cook in the vain hope that I might be able to get my lovely and very kind fellow co-hosts so drunk that they might purchase all of them, or at least, swap them for some swords or for some drug-laced sweets, possibly. Let's see how that one goes down. Anyway. Next up to this little soiree is somebody who's probably going to be bringing a bottle of something that's going to gush everywhere, because that's what normally happens. Mr. Grant Hutchison, hooray!
Hi.
Have you got a gusher tonight, sir?
Shall we find out?
Yes.
Shall we find out live?
Let's do it. Oh, I love it. Live by the sword, die by the sword. In Middlesbrough.
What I've brought... I did. I called up Middlesbrough police actually and just claimed the swords. I don't think anyone else is going to do it.
They're yours.
So what I've got with me is Oliver's bottle conditioned medium dry season 2017. I discovered this cider this year. I'm not sure if it was released this year or last. Because I think 2018 is out now. So, but anyway, it's probably been certainly my top three of the year.
Wicked.
So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here.
Come on. Oh, Jesus.
But no.
Just a shotgun.
It went off like a shotgun. I mean, like that was it. Pounding the table.
Jesus Christ. There we go.
So, there we go. So look at this beautiful juice.
Oh.
Oh
no, he's pulled it all right.
I shouldn't have poured it over my laptop. Look at this.
When we said,
if you could see this now.
Yeah, when we said a finger's head in the Derrida, I mean, that's like a whole fist in your glass there. There's more pressure in there. Look, fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah.
And so, next up to the party, armed with a dish of bumbo pie that he probably got from Santa at Christmas. It's Mr. Martin Goodwin-Sharman. Hello.
How are we doing, man? Someone did comment today about the Pilton episode and said, like, the best episode. Also, what does Martin have a problem with Santa? And I was like, no, I don't have a problem with Santa. I have a problem with Sheena. So I've brought to this lovely party at this hotel the layout now has changed, and it just seems to be one big gorgeous ballroom. It's gorgeous tonight, guys.
Yes.
Lovely. But I've brought a Christmas bottle that I had before. It's Eve's Albie Hill. This is the 2017 vintage. And I thought it only right to pour it into proper glassware.
Oh, look at that. It's a beautiful tankard.
So oh God, it smells amazing. This is not going to do it justice. But I went to see the mother-in-law the other day, and she lives in Bradford-on-Avon, just outside of Bristol. And was walking her dog while they were shopping, her and my wife, and went into this little pottery den thing on the walk. I was like, oh, there's a mug that says cider there. And this little woman who looked like, I want to be polite and say, out of Monsters, Inc., Mike Wazowski, that lady.
The receptionist.
Yeah, so she came out and she went, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm on the phone to my, it's my ex now. I mean, I've got 2 men that want me. Well, you just can't stop them." And I was like, "I just want the mug." Like, I just really, I tried to get out there as quick as possible. But my mother-in-law told me yesterday that she went back there on the walk, and she told her that I bought this, and she went, "Oh, he was lovely. I wouldn't have minded a bit of him myself." I was like, "This woman that's making these jugs." I will upload a picture to our Instagram, but the woman who made this is an absolute hound dog. So thank you, Potter. And
there we go.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, fucking hell.
It is an absolute win. An absolute win. Eves obviously was one of our fabulous guests, Autumn and Ezra, earlier in the series. Fantastic people, amazing cider makers. Good choice, Martin.
Fucking hell.
Well, but normally at this point, I would jump straight into things, but for one night only, for this night only, last but not least, it gives me utter joy to be able to present the 5th, or is that possibly 4th, Beetle of the Neutral Cider Hotel. Somebody with the patience of a saint and extraordinary technical skills. Straight out of San Diego, it's producer Scott Ray.
Hey, Scott.
Hey,
hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me out of the basement, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. Like how did you get out? I'm pretty sure I put like a double padlock on that beast.
I dug a hole.
Well, yeah, you dug a hole. Well done, sir. Scott, thank you very much for helping us. You're lush. And as I said, very patient to work with 2 professionals and 1 ciderologist. So what are you drinking tonight?
So I'm based in California, as you said. So I went out and found something by Ace, which is, I always knew them as kind of supermarket cider. They were one of the first I ever saw in the supermarket when it comes to ciders. But they have a kind of premium series called Blackjack 21.
Yay.
It's a premium craft cider,
It's
and
nice.
It is delicious.
Beautiful.
I'm very excited about it.
So there we go. That's the lineup for tonight. But we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Like I said, it's going to be a case of looking back over some of the best bits. So Scott, how's it going to work? Tell us.
Right. So we kind of have, usually at the end of the year, a lot of shows either go away or sometimes they do a best of. And the reason why they do that is because sometimes it's hard to get guests. I mean, Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. So, but it's also kind of a good time to reflect upon what we've done. And what better way to do that than look at the 8 or so episodes we've recorded so far and decide
Slim pickings.
also
decide well, so what I did was I asked everyone on the team to go back and listen to all the episodes and find their favorite moments. And then after sorting through gobs of emails and a spreadsheet that I put together, I then sorted it by show. So it made sense. So took all the moments, kind of sorted it by show, and then created a countdown. So I think we're going to have Grant do the countdown voice tonight at some point.
Please.
It's important. Luckily, you only have to do 7. It's a small countdown. But we're going to go and count down our favorite episodes of the year so far. And what I have called it is, this is ridiculous because we've only been doing this for a short time, but here is our top 7 favorite episodes of the Neutral Cider Hotel podcast in 2020 from the ones we've recorded and haven't been countdown show.
My God, well,
Jesus,
yes. Rolls off the tongue.
I like it.
You've been to the Gabe Cook School of natty titles and shiz, haven't you? Christ.
It's important to note that the guys have not, although they sent me all their favorite moments, they don't know the countdown, they don't know the order, so this is going to be a surprise for everyone.
And may not have listened to the episode. So.
Grant.
No, I have. Of course I have. Let it go all the time. It's all I listen to.
Okay, so shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
okay.
Bring it.
So,
Excited.
Grant, give me a number 7 countdown, please.
Coming in at number 7, which, well, hold on there.
God, you punched right through that one, didn't you? That was...
You nailed it, and then you backed out really quickly.
Yeah.
We got to keep it in.
Well, because what am I going to say?
That's
though?
all you need to say.
I've got to say.
Coming in at number 7.
All right, okay. Oh, so you just want me to just say number 7?
Yes.
You're the star of the show here, Grant.
You've cut my lines.
It's true.
From 5 words to 2. Brilliant. Thanks. Right, we ready?
Yes.
Coming in at number 7.
Yes.
Number 7 on our countdown is from episode 4. Does anyone remember anything of episode 4? It was titled Annoyingly Succinct.
Well, Martin was annoyingly succinct.
Well, that could be any.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. That is
episode
true.
in terms of content.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think I was at the start, but I have a feeling that the alcohol unwound me, and I became annoyingly synced.
That one.
Oh, it's that episode.
That's correct.
Yes.
So this was with Autumn and Ezra of Ease Cidery, and also the tasting was De Ritter.
Okay.
And while it was clear from listening to this episode that everyone that was doing the tasting absolutely loved it, I think it was even more clear that Martin's love for it was kind of beyond affection to...
Oh, don't do this to me.
Almost an uncomfortable level with the audible groans you can hear throughout the episode. And that is our number 7 clip.
Coming in at number 7.
Again, folks, I know you can't see our faces, but Martin has just been pulling the most amazing face after his first taste of this cider. What do you get?
I just want to, in case it does make the edit, I do want to explain that my interjection of like a couple minutes ago was me just smelling it, loving it, and then sipping it, and it being 10 times the flavor as the taste implies, if that makes sense. So a lot of these pet nats, they have a wonderful aroma, and then they're quite lean, dry, and quite gentle. And a lot of the cider makers that are making them in regions where they don't have kind of big brassy tannic cider apples, and that they're using like dessert apples, and most of them that I've had actually. And this one just has like an abundance of, it's like orange peel, stone fruit, crystal meth. No, it's got everything in the kitchen sink in there.
I tell you what,
like a proper perfume. It's insane. Fuck. It's one of those where like it tastes like apples, lemons, pears, pineapples, oranges, all at the same time and at a different time. The acidity and that carbonation, it feels like a sherbet, and oh my god!
but it doesn't go too far. It's not.
The acidity isn't like mouth puckering.
Nah, this is it. This is why it's so clever that you've got all of the intensity of that acidity, and I can't imagine that there's any sugar in here, or maybe just a tiny little bit, but yet it's still soft and it's still round, and we've got a bit of nice sort of grippy astringency, but again, it's not unpleasant. It is just an intense taste sensation.
It's almost like a cocktail. It's almost like a cocktail with bitters in it or something, because there's the alcohol. There's the alcohol there. There's
Martin's having quite the moment over there, isn't he?
Yes.
we heard that one too.
You know that we're recording this, Martin.
I don't give a fuck.
If you want to mute your mic whilst you,
he's having a private moment.
He's now holding the glass up to the mic. If anyone,
I haven't seen him smile in a very, very long time. He's normally got this kind of like faux kind of bitchy face on the go, and
I don't think I've ever seen Martin smile.
And he's gurning like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, that's what Scrumpy does to a man.
It's true.
Now, it's great. I've just poured another glass. If you couldn't tell, I enjoyed it and drank it very quickly. But it's genuinely got a finger's length of head on it still. And it's just a little stunner. Like that's a new benchmark. That's where I'm measuring them all from now. If it ain't this good, fuck off.
This is what cider can be about. It's awesome, and I'm just going to continue to talk until Martin stops drinking. Which
I know.
Which
I was going to say, Martin, are you crying?
You do look.
Martin's crying.
I'm either crying or coming. One eye is leaking. I tell you that.
It's absolutely exceptional.
It's gorgeous, and I don't know. Should I reiterate it? I'm usually annoyingly succinct, but I'm just head over heels with it. It's what I like about cider, though, is if you like it and you really like it, you can have genuine kind of kicks in the face and heart with something that you really, really fucking admire. And they've absolutely nailed it. That's the kind of cider that I would want to drink. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is.
Me neither.
Because you don't want to hope. Do you know what I mean? Like you. As a string in your bow, in terms of ease, it's so different from Albi as well. Like it's we're talking about the fruit and everything, but it's not like cider makers are closer to like Belgian breweries than they are like craft brewers, I think, in that they have like one thing they do really well and they'll make a little version change to it. And that's really good just by the seasonal nature of the fruit and their process and the time it takes. And like she was saying, then it's like 14 harvests. Like that's all it is really. Whereas 14 different brews is pretty much a couple months in a brewery. Yeah. But to have something so drastically different to the other ones I've tried, but still have that sort of signature quality and clearly the view that they've got of cider making is so intrinsically on show here. It's just like fucking hell.
Yeah. I mean, that is it. I think that sums it up. Fucking hell.
I'd give it 3 out of 5. It is a solid.
Oh, come on. 2.5. 2.5.
No, fucking hell.
As you can tell, everybody, we are slightly enamored with this cider. That's because Martin will have bought all those 3 cases that he's not allowed to buy.
Jesus Christ. It's a stunner, isn't it?
There we go.
Like, I know.
We were, as you can tell, we're all slightly lost for words. A spectacular cider de Ridder from Eve's Cidery, 100% wild harvested apples, native yeast fermentation. It's got a little bit of everything, and it's super special.
Half my bottle's gone. Sorry, guys.
Well,
yes.
I mean, we annoyingly succinct. It was not. we found.
Martin, but you were on fire. It was like a Shakespeare play. It was like a tragedy. There were ups, there were downs. There was the, I didn't want it to be. I didn't hope for it to be so good because I couldn't take the crushing disappointment if it wasn't. But then he went into being like really kind of annoyingly succinct and articulate with the Belgian brewer kind of comment about, because that's, so right. And, taking on board, Grant and I were being a touch horrible to you, like saying that, you had a resting bitch face. And Grant said, I've just never seen you smile before as well. So
I know that was, sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Listeners at home can definitely go, oh, well, he's not smiling with he's not laughing with a straight face, is he? Fucking hell.
Basically, I don't think you heard or cared what anybody else said. It was just pure love. It was pure love. And you know what? From my opinion, just one of the best ciders I've tried this year. So ciders like that deserve to be gushed over in such a way.
Yeah, no, it was a lot.
Have you had any since?
No, I've left that magical beast where it is.
You got it parked away.
Yeah, no, I know Two Belly. I've got one. It's one where I don't know about getting it again because I was so pissed and it was so magical. It's kind of like I like that being a one night stand that just
That's fair
in my
enough.
dreams. So yes and no.
Also,
maybe.
Also, like I sometimes feel like I buy so much cider that I feel greedy sometimes. I'm like, no, I need to let other people experience that. There's only, there was only
definitely.
There was only 100. I mean, I think I got 10 cases, maybe 12. So there's only 120, 140 bottles in the UK. So
wow.
So yeah, don't be greedy.
Well, there's Heston Blumenthal did a dissertation on like kind of the terroir of mind and like where you are as a being as well, and saying his example is the old if you in this little valley in France and you propose to your partner and they say yes and you drink the local wine and it's the best thing ever, so you buy a case and you take it home and then suddenly there's just doesn't maybe the bottle's caught, or it's like you were in a specific place. And I was down at Pilton blending all day. Then I drank the Mayflower by Tom Oliver, and then I had Derrida. So that high acid on Derrida and the booze, and just adding to the essentially cacophony of just strength booze in my body. I think it was just like a perfect storm. So thank you for that, Eves.
It was a special moment, and you let everybody know just how special it was, Martin, and we thank you for that. We enjoyed the passion. So there we go. That was our number 7. Let's find out. Over to you, Grant, for once again our wonderful countdown. Let's go.
It's number 6.
All right. So number 6 comes from episode 3. That episode was called Disgust Woman. Does anyone want to explain that, since a lot of people might not understand that reference? I believe Grant should explain it, since he was the one that called it out.
Did I? Right. So when we first started recording the podcast, we quickly discovered that there might be some moments where we mention something that needs explained, and therefore there should be a sound to signal when that happens. Gabe had downloaded an app for his phone, soundboard, multiple things on there. Chose, I don't know, I've not listened back. I don't know how you landed on a horse, but that was the horse of knowledge, which signifies some terminology that someone needs to explain to the audience. Also on this soundboard was a woman showing disgust, and the description of it was what was it?
It was
disgust.
I think it was woman brackets disgust.
Woman brackets disgust, and it sounded like this.
Blah.
Oh, Martin nailed it. Martin got it. Did you make the sound effect?
Martin, you've gone back and listened to that.
Are you the disgusted woman?
I know it was because we were talking about the alcohol content, minimum juice content for cider, and Gabe was saying, and it's 35%. So yes, that's right. It's just over a third of your drink, maybe just the apple. And then Grant interjected with, blah, blah.
That's right. So on that episode, our guest was Tom Oliver, which that was one of 2 recordings with Tom. So
thank you very much.
He did our episode.
No, it was a pilot, right?
Episode 0.
The bedroom sessions.
Have we still got that for when we're rich and famous, and that we can? Is that the one we're banking on? Jeez, shit.
The rarities, Neutral Cider Hotel, the rarities.
And Tom was a great interview. Actually, I really enjoyed. He was up for playing along and having a good time, and was also really informative. So that was a
good egg.
It's a great episode. But the big thing that came out of that episode was a debate on the spelling of cider, which Grant brought up and Martin took a little offense to. And
are all the clips just me being like a wanker? Just off my
I guess you'll find out.
Well,
oh no!
I think the top three are going to be me being enthusiastic.
Oh, I guess you'll find out too.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, here is your number 6 from the best of 2020.
It's number 6. There are 2 spellings for cider. I mean, that's a pretty basic point to say, right, okay, we stick with one. So we use the one with the I or the Y, you know. Like we can't even decide on one spelling of the core product.
No, hang on. I'm not going to
imagine you had wine.
I'm not going to have
Y.
words. I'm not going to have words that have an I and a Y spelling be knocked down. As a Martin with a Y, we should have the freedom to bounce between. I'm not fucking around with this.
I really put my foot in it, didn't I?
I'm also Cornish where they use it.
Oh, shite.
Cider. Are you drinking cider? Gabe, with this couple of £1,000 of research, can you tell me if my cider is cold or fizzy?
I do believe that it is, as it happens, yes.
Mine right now is definitely cold and fizzy cider. That just sounds like I'm having a fucking stroke. That's not the news. I've just derailed it. I'm really sorry, guys. But no, go on. To be honest, I think having 2 spellings of it doesn't really matter. In the same way that like there are subcategories of everything, and in beer, and even just country-wise, having say beer and beer, and it's spelt differently, you get the message and it says it of a place. We just need to define
what that is, though.
With the Y, that to me says old Cornish scrumpy crap. If I ever see a Y on a bottle, I wouldn't buy it.
That's to you. This is the point, isn't it? It's like it means that to you, but it doesn't necessarily mean it universally.
Fallen into the trap, haven't I? I've judged a cider by the way.
Those £2,000 are going to be so well spent sorting this shit out.
There is a train of thought that cider with a Y actually pertains historically to the best, the finest drink, like the first press that was going to come off to go up to the big house. That was the best stuff, and that the sort of the second pressings or with the lesser kind of fruit, the cider with an I. That was what was sort of, given to the labourers and to the peasants. Personally, I don't agree with that, because
with Martins, they flipped that round.
Obviously. Oh, I see what you did there.
It sounds like the crap makers, though, have just adopted that. But I will say, do Starve Crow use a Y on their cider? I believe they do on the black label, don't they? If I remember correctly. And that's lovely. So maybe I am maybe the Y is good, Grant, and you're a dick.
You would say that, Martin.
Martin. Let me.
No, I have just checked, and indeed, the Starve Crow Black Label is cider with a Y. So that.
I mean, I don't have a problem with cider with a Y. It's not that I've got something against the letter Y. I'm just
sounds like you brought it up. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying a good starting point for this program would be, okay, which one are we going to use? Let's figure that out, and then we'll move on to.
Well, I'm going to suggest that hopefully the assistant professors from the universities of Virginia Tech and of Cornell are not listening to this podcast right now, because actually we do have something, or I do certainly have something positive to contribute, other than whether Martin should be spelled with a Y or an I. So we'll see how that unfolds over time, and hopefully they'll give us a little bit of their £2,000.
Caledonian cider, Isla cask, and Ross on Y Perry, and I'm not sure which one. Flaky bark, maybe. I don't think it's a single variety. I think it's a blend. But those are the 6 ciders that we're having, and we'll be probably pairing them with some music and having a chat about music and cider, and just generally having a nice drink and a fun time. So.
That's a pretty impressive lineup.
I will say, Ross on what was that? Ross on what? Curious. just a subtle little joke for the listener at home. Is there a website that they can check that out on, Grant?
Yeah, thanks for calling me handsome again. It's www.salfordbeerfest.com.
And you can help out the SEO by searching for Salford Beer Fest and the word cider with a Y, just to get it out there.
Grant with a Y. Grint.
You're a grunt.
Grant.
Granty.
Rupert Grant.
Gabe, Granty, and Yarton. I will say, related to it, I once worked with at this rubbish cocktail bar, and they were doing tips for all the staff, and they wrote a little bit on paper of the name to share them out. And this girl, I'll leave her nameless, she said, "Oh, Martin," and I said, "Yes," with a Y, and she wrote MYARTIN, which I've never seen before.
Martin.
I will say it looked proper Gaelic, and because I was ginger looking at it, I was like, I could see how you've come to this assumed spelling of the Cornish name.
Sounds like a character out of a Daphne du Maurier novel or something from Jamaica Inn.
And if
It sounds like a bi-curious hobbit.
One of the world's best cider makers. It's the man. It's the legend. It's Mr. Tom Oliver, everyone. Woo!
Good evening.
How is Oakle pictured? With a Y, no less, not an I. Isn't it?
It is much like for those of you who like to spell cider with a Y, it's wrong.
yes.
We've just been discussing that, and as a Martin with a Y, Tom, I actually said it was shit, but it somehow turned just into a bullying campaign from someone who is a missing letter from their surname. So.
Well,
You did say he was very handsome, though.
well, that's a good opening gambit. Good evening, everyone.
Fucking hell.
Has Grant ever uttered as much joy, even at the birth of his child, than he did at the moment when Tom Oliver confirmed?
I mean, it was just incredible. It was just brilliant.
Not coached, by the way. Tom Oliver had no idea.
Well, I was going to say, that was what I was going to say. Like that, Tom wasn't listening in to our conversation. He just came on there. That was mentioned. Gabe made his Oakle pictured with a Y reference, and Tom just out of nowhere decided to completely shit all over the last half hour.
When the Oliver steps up to the plate and with one word, you're wrong. Like, well,
wrong.
all right. Well,
It's
well, that's that then.
it's Tom Oliver as well.
Like,
so like,
Tom, actually, I think you might be. Could we have a conversation about it?
No,
that's
never heard of him.
Yeah. Done.
Oh, that was so. What I also liked, and this reminded me of was Martin sort of took over Gabe's whole news piece about this funding for the research into a kind of glossary or a sort of a lexicon for cider, and just even I was trying to look up what the funding amount was, because you said, "Oh yeah, that $2,000 is going to be spent well, isn't it?" And that was
like 200,
it was like $10,000 or
no,
50 grand. I don't know.
$600,000.
Right.
$600,000.
See, there you go. And Martin just goes, "Oh, that $2,000 is going to be."
No. The thing is, though, I'm not being funny. Is that news article in the best of episode? Is it fuck? So. What I'll add, and two things. I'm definitely going to get Neutral Cider Hotel t-shirts with, I will say, as a tagline on it.
I wrote that down as well.
Yeah, I was like, fucking hell. You can hear the crutch of like, it sounds silly, but it's nerve-wracking, like recording and not knowing what you're doing. So I'm like,
it was early days.
One is,
that was the early days when Gabe had his microphone backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And had just listened to Daphne du Maurier.
Yes. Well, that's not funny. That's amazing. Grant,
that's amazing.
I will not have you ragging on Daphne du Maurier, an amazing Cornish novelist.
You referenced it 2 weeks in a row, and I was like, "Oh, is this going to be a thing?" That's all.
What
That's going to be his crutch.
the neutral Daphne du Maurier hotel. No,
Yeah,
no.
I will say.
Yeah, but I will say it shows the reach of the show. I got an email from Andreas from Abelrov Ciders, and the email is cider, and it just says cider with a Y. So nice. I only noticed it today. I was like, oh mate, just the little in jokes that for some reason in this weird little niche cider world that we're in. I'm fucking glad. I'm glad that we're adding to it, and I'm glad that we drink enough that it just goes completely off the rails. So sorry, Scott, for having to edit mass amounts of shit.
You're pretty good at polishing those turds and turning into nice shiny lumps of gold.
That's what it says on my resume, actually.
It does, yeah. Chief turd polisher. Yeah. Well, there we go. From we can only go up from turds, can't we? So what have we what have we got next?
All right, so number 5 on the countdown is from episode 8, a very recent one, the most recent one on the countdown, I believe. That episode is called NCH Cool AF.
Oh,
and features, even when I say it, you get. And
I won't
and
rise.
Features Sarah Warman from Hawks. And also something that won't make it in the clip, but if you haven't listened to episode 8, please do go and listen for the supermarket sweep game that Martin put together.
Supermarket sweep!
Which is well worth your time.
It's still funny.
Yes. So in this episode, Gabe kicks things off by shortening the show title to NCH, but of course, Martin and Grant aren't having any of it, and you'll hear a little bit of that. Later during the interview with Sarah, this is a good encapsulation of the show in a lot of ways, but later during the interview with Sarah Warman of Hawks Cidery, Gabe goes into what can only be described as probably a 4.5-minute question that turns into a yes and no. He kind of answers it himself and then throws it to Sarah, and she doesn't know what to do.
Very much.
So, but you did get at least one plug-in for, you got 2 book plugs in that question, in that 5-minute question. So I give you props for that.
Thank you.
So without further ado, this is number 5 on the countdown, and I'm going to throw it to Grant every time.
Number 5, tomato knife.
My name is Gabe Cook, and I'm the ciderologist, and I am a global cider expert. I'm also rather lazy, which is why I have been considering over the past few weeks about shortening Neutral Cider Hotel, because it's such a task to say Neutral Cider Hotel. So I was thinking about just shortening it to NCH. But, I thought that I should possibly check, first of all, whether this acronym had been already taken by anybody else. And guess what? It has. And so if we were to utilize NCH, we just might get some passing traffic and mis-Googles from people looking for NCH Europe, a global leader in wastewater treatment management, which does seem quite apt given the amount of shit that we do talk. Boom, boom. You can put a ding in there, Scott. Most interestingly, NCH also stands for the National Council of Hypnotherapy. And so it seems entirely fitting, therefore, that, and with that click, anyone listening to my voice henceforth is compelled to purchase my book, Ciderology by Gabe Cook, every single time they hear me say, Ciderology. Ciderology. Now, hopefully that should help with a decent chunk of stock that's still left in the warehouse. Anyway, enough of my slightly morally dubious sales tactics, bringing light and joy and some giggling laughter to the affairs of my very good friends and obviously fellow denizens of the Neutral Cider Hotel, NCH, which are obviously Mr. Martin Goodwin-Sharman and
Hello.
Grant Hutchison. Hooray! Hello. NCH for life, people.
Oh, no, that is not cool AF.
That's the next tattoo.
That's not cool. NCH cool AF. Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right,
That's
Mum.
dried me up, mate. Oh, no.
It took something as simple as that. The Ciderama, I was at the event in 2019. Gosh, that seems just the longest time ago. And you're absolutely right. The element of that well, there were two elements that I really enjoyed. One was the fact that there were so many international cider makers, and it was sort of a reaching hand out to, especially to the USA. It's such a fitting kind of like compatriot, I'm trying to find the right word, to bring over, because the way that the USA approaches cider is in a modern and a contemporary way, and less burdened with kind of heritage and tradition, which plays into the second bit, was that it was presented in a modern, urban, contemporary way, which is obviously what Hawke's, the attitude and the ethos, is all about. But I'm currently researching my second book, Modern British Cider, the follow-up to Ciderology by me.
I'd not heard about that.
Well, not yet, have you not? It's a riveting read, especially if you get your own signed copy, Sarah, in the post in the morning. And I say I'm doing lots of research and lots of conversations right now, and something that is coming up is around if cider, because the data shows that less than 50% of the UK population ever drink cider. The majority of people in this country will never purchase a cider currently. And I'm trying to sort of tease apart and understand exactly what's kind of going on there. But I do have the feeling that part of that is because cider is viewed, and it's all about viewpoint and perception, as being something that is old-fashioned or rural or traditional, or doesn't relate to a younger urban consumer. And so ciders, in terms of, the liquid is just part of it. So maybe not being quite so deeply phenolic or kind of funky, and maybe being a bit more fresh or clean, possibly for a part of the population, but also about the way that the product is presented and the way that it communicates as being to this kind of consumer. Is this something that you think is kind of true, and something that is going to be, a continuing drive of your activity?
No need to buy the book anymore. That's the audio book.
That's the introduction
hell,
done.
Chapter 2, yeah. Sorry, Sarah, I cut you off, but fuck off. Jesus Christ.
Just transcribe it. It's fine.
Bastards.
I'll write my own before you get there.
Yeah, well, yeah, just listen to Neutral Cider Hotel enough, and I will have actually verbatim read out the old book and the new. You're probably right, actually.
I'll answer the question.
Please do, for the love of God.
Oh my God.
That is honestly the most stunning true or false question I've ever had.
And just there's so many points where it was like, okay, that's it coming to an end, and then you went, the data shows.
I felt like I was a toddler in the sea, and my family were on the beach, and the waves just kept crashing, and I was like pulled under, but my armbands are like bringing me up, and it just felt like an awesome amount of tolerance was needed.
I was crying. I was crying listening to that. That was unbelievable. Like that. It's just, and then to end with that. Do you agree?
Yes. No.
Who the fuck knows?
Well,
agree with what?
Least of all me. Re-listening to that was a particularly joyous occasion.
That was unbelievable. That was so good.
I want to, on one hand, I want to offer my condolences to.
Don't do two hands. No, just do one.
To the world.
I know you can.
But on the other hand, I'm kind of glad, because it was rather funny.
It was hilarious. Congratulations on your number 5.
It does give me. If that's at number 5, then what the fuck's coming next? It does give me reason to ensure that I'm a little bit, maybe a bit more brief with my question, with my line of questioning, rather than a monologue. Talk about being Shakespearean. The worst thing is that at the end of all of that, I sort of joked, by way of trying to make light of the situation, your copy's in the post tomorrow. I haven't even sent her a copy yet. Come on. I'm really, Sarah, Sarah, I'm really sorry. There will be a copy to you in the post, signed personally, with the transcript of everything I said written in the margins, just for your delectation. There we go.
Her wait on that book arriving will be shorter than the fucking question you asked as well. That's the thing.
Wow.
And also, if you listen back to episode 3 with Tom, there's a bit where he does actually call you out and says, "I thought I was on here to answer the question."
He knows me well. I did also like the way that I think, showing the growing love and care and respect that we have for one another. That Grant's response to my soliloquy was "All right, Mum," and Martin's was "Fuck off" at the end. So it's
actually,
nice
Martin's
to know that
was "You've dried me up. Fuck off."
Oh.
I think.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
You dried me up. Yeah.
No, it was but the also with the question that you asked.
What was the
that
question?
Being,
I don't know what the question was. Now.
I was trying to take notes.
Yeah, I was trying to.
I was laughing too hard through it. But I think the gist of it was you were excited about the book that you were researching.
Yes.
The research was like, how are consumers interacting with cider? Like, I think that was the crux of it. But aren't you researching the book and don't you know, like, isn't this a question in your book?
Yeah, but
maybe. I was trying to get a bit of expert insight, but the fatal flaw that I had was that I didn't let the person know that I was actually asking for something pertinent from them.
well, but
which again, it's all a learning experience, isn't it?
it was a great guest for that to happen.
Oh, she was
as
great,
well,
brilliant.
because she was so good and so natural and relaxed with the whole thing, and willing to take the piss
Yes,
out of well, I was going to say us, but specifically you,
Thank you.
and it worked so well. I think maybe it's I feel like anyone else would have got to the end of that and been like, I'm sorry, I don't even know where I am. But
What's
it was
my
just,
name?
I've given up drinking cider now.
I'm back to the beer.
Yeah.
The cider revolution has started and ended.
Yes, in a 4-minute question. So,
Nobody can see the video, but it's important to understand that Grant laughed through that entire 5-minute clip. Like, I don't think there was a minute where he was.
I was crying.
It was a beautiful ciderific filibuster. It felt like, let's just
Mm.
fill the floor with this line.
That's exactly
And luckily for her, the clock ran out and she was like, "Oh, fuck it." Honestly, she was great. Loved having her on, and I'm glad listening to it again. Obviously, we're listening to it and interacting over it again, but hearing, I think that must be one of the first points where I've just blatantly gone like, "Fuck off!" Like, no, like, I just refuse. Like, I'm editing it there, going, "No, I can't."
Oh yes,
that was a particularly
really enjoyable.
It was a great show. It was a really good show. And Sarah was a great interviewee and ridiculously patient, obviously. And as we talked, is going to be a really important part of the cider thing sort of going on. So all good stuff. And I'm learning too. I'm learning along the way about keeping questions down to 90 seconds, maybe not answering them or adding new questions or ending it with a yes or no. Do you agree? Do you agree?
And talking into the front of your microphone instead of the back.
Come on, we can't all be that good. Jesus.
To sidebar it, because it is a learning thing. I'd not really interviewed. The only other person I'd interviewed before this was Danny Dyer in a nightclub in Cheltenham in 2010. And he was the most depressed person I've ever met. It was really upsetting. But how do you guys feel actually, like, we weekly do interviews now? I didn't think that this would be a part of life. Like, how do you feel doing that?
Yes, it's strange. I have been interviewed with a lot, but you don't. When someone's really good at it, you don't notice what they're doing or how they're doing it or any techniques they're using.
Thank you, Grant.
So
That's so nice of you to say that about me.
I don't know if you ever interviewed me, Scott.
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. You don't notice when you notice when someone's bad. And
True or false?
Yep, exactly.
Do you agree?
That's it. The things you do notice are okay. So that guy he answered the questions for me. He asked me a yes or no, so that's that done. I was also asked how I knew Scott once.
Oh God!
If for anyone who's listening who doesn't know this, Scott was my brother, so that was
that was brutal.
That was an interesting one.
Well, you probably and you also got the same questions. I'm guessing 1,000 times. Where'd you get the name? What's it like in Scotland?
That's fine. That's fine. You know, what's it like being in a band with your brother? You know, all that stuff. You get used to that. But
what's it like being in a band with your brother? How did you meet?
How did you meet? But I love it. There's the interview, doing the interviews, being the interviewer. There's still so much I don't actually know.
Do you have a new appreciation for it being on the other side now?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And after listening to that, fucking yes.
And I won't disagree with you. It is. You know, I've had the opportunity to do various bits, like hosting and facilitating and presenting and those kinds of things, and I like that, and I think I've got half decent at it. The interview, as you have just found out, is something that I have not mastered yet. It's amazing. It's an amazing kind of skill set. It's an amazing thing to do, to know when to allow the person to speak, just to allow the person to speak at some stage is probably a good thing. But to also to know like when to interject and when to get in, when to tease out and to pick out upon the thing. It's an amazing skill set and art form. And I've still got a little bit to learn, but that's all right.
Get better every time.
Yeah, no, agree.
Get better every time. So there we go. That's my public humiliation. Not humiliation.
Oh, there's more. Don't worry. There's more.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was it over with. No, that was just the least bit. But this is why we do it, because it's so much fun. Just to reiterate once again to everybody, you know.
Oh, fucking hell! It doesn't need further explaining.
No, hang on. You don't know what I'm going to say yet. Well, I was about to say something nice, which was and I still will, which is that. Gosh, you know, during these really challenging times and relatively being isolated, living apart, just being part of this podcast and being able to be silly, be fun, and get things wrong, and know that's all right, and have a safe space. It's just awesome. So thank you all for participating and listening and helping us to make this a lot of fun. So bravo. Right, next, what have we got?
All right, next up on the countdown, it's number 4 on the countdown, which is comes from episode 5, titled "The Cure for COVID-19," which I think, honestly, because I called it that, it did a little better than a lot of other episodes at that point. I think people are like, "Ooh, did they know the cure?" The guest on that episode was Pete Brown.
Yes.
What do you guys remember of that episode?
That Pete is a professional booze writer and has won many awards and is very, very talented and
written more books than you.
He's written many more books than me.
In the chat, I saw Scott. You wrote, how many books has this fucking guy wrote? Like what? Like, trying to keep up.
And then I think I just asked him.
Yes, you did.
And he's like, and straight away he was like 11.
Yeah,
all right. But I remember feeling that was, I don't know, not necessarily the first interview that felt comfortable. It was probably at that point the most comfortable that I'd felt, because he responded really well, and obviously he was quite used to that situation, and he's a great storyteller. So it was quite easy to just kind of say, pose a question that you knew that he would kind of just go off and kind of wax lyrical about it in a really interesting way. So that was fun.
Also, it felt like one of the first episodes where all the cogs seemed to be oiled and all the mechanics on our end. There wasn't like fucking like anyone next to a hadron collider going, "Oh, should we move away from the hadron collider?" And it really was fun. I can't even remember what we drank at the end. Was that the Thorn Perry on number 4?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It's all up here, lads. It's all up here. No notes. Jay-Z.
I'm looking at the episodes on podcast.
I'm looking at the notes too, so I can confirm
Oh,
that
really?
it was done. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. But yeah, great episode. And well, we're saying that, all the listeners at home like, fuck, it's the one I skipped.
Well, now they may have a reason to go back and listen. So
Absolutely.
Yes.
in this clip, what you're going to hear is while discussing the amount of books written and awards won by our guest Pete Brown, the question of Cider Writer of the Year comes up. And Grant asks if Gabe has created his own awards, which is leads to an interesting conversation. Next up in the clip, you'll also hear there's a discussion about pairing food with the cider you guys were tasting. And Martin notices the marked difference in the diets of Grant and Gabe. And
Don't know what that could be.
and finally, Grant appeases listener request to count down in his countdown voice the strangest places people have had cider. So here is the number 4 on our top 7 of 2020 countdown.
What's it all for? It's number 4.
Cider Writer of the Year. Is there a Cider Writer of the Year? Is a good point. Gabe, is there any?
Well,
That should be a category, right? I mean,
Well, I am a proponent and have suggested, and
have you made your own little certificates, have you?
the
Got a wee trophy done. Got a wee trophy done.
and for best book written by somebody called Gabriel about cider, it's Gabriel for the Ciderology. Yay!
I just want to thank my mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for the most brilliantest boy trophy.
Yeah. You've done a poo. Well done. Good boy. Yay.
Is there any setting that you would recommend people drink this at home, guys? Can you imagine where you would want to be and crack this and think that's the perfect cider?
Oysters.
Oysters.
Yeah, I think the real high acidity will, but the sort of the fruity freshness will sort of goes with the sort of sea saltiness, but maybe, helps to cut through a bit of, sometimes, you can get a bit yucky on the oysters. Sometimes if it clags a bit in the throat, this will cut through diamonds. It's pretty zingy.
It's pretty zingy. I was just like a kind of light salad, something fresh and bright, that it isn't going to overpower it, because although it's it's highly acidic and it's not, it doesn't, the tannins don't punch in the face, so to pair it with something too hefty wouldn't make sense. So I would say like a light kind of salad, or like a green pesto dish, something like that.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah,
You can tell the difference between the diets here. Fine oysters in my manor house. Scottish peasant salad. Cold weather salad.
Yeah, lettuce.
In a previous episode, Grant was a bit of a cunt, and no, he wasn't. Grant,
it's hard to narrow down that episode, to be honest.
Yes. well, Grant asked about. Basically, we were asked by Gabe where the weirdest place we drank cider was, where the strangest place was, and we were caught off guard by that. So neither of us had an answer prepared, but there was a question of enthusiasm at the end, and Grant jokingly asked you to send us in yours. So we'd like Grant to read them out in the same voice,
which Grant can't remember. But has been given some guidance from Martin about what it was, and I might do it. Maybe I'll do a countdown from 2
Oh,
to 1
yes, yeah.
because that's how many we got.
Coming in at last place.
Coming in at number 2. Well, that seems unfair though, because then that means that someone's last and someone's first.
No. You've got to fit now. You can't set that up. Go on. So let me introduce it. So Grant, who has the losing? But who has the worst place?
Come on! Oh,
In last place, drinking a cider in a strange place. Name them and shame them.
It's coming in second place, not last place. Second place, Claudia Lundahl. Trying to think of the strangest place I've had cider so far at a bar in Oban, which is only strange because I'm American. It seems I need to up my drinking in strange places game. That was second place.
You couldn't get more partridge if you tried. That was amazing.
I know it did. It slipped into partridge a bit. It wasn't meant to.
Perfect. Oh,
Okay, then.
I'd be so happy.
I hope for the edit it comes out. We just went perfect. So if that was the loser, Grant, who's the winner?
Top spot coming in at number 1 in the strangest place I've ever drank cider. This is Ross Cider, presumably Albert from Ross Cider. I think on the roof of student accommodation in Gothenburg with cider voice. We paid for a one-way suitcase full of 2-litre bottles that then got left with our Swedish friend. Nobody else liked the dry cider, so we had a lot between ourselves. You go, Albert.
Yes. Bravo. Gothenburg rooftop with some Broom Farm, bittersweet, dry Funkatron. Fantastic.
Paying extra baggage for cider, that's dedication.
That's the way to do it.
That's not the content you wanted, guys, but it is the content you deserve. I just want to start with I think that's the kind of seeds of it where we were ripping you, Gabe, of like all the own certificates. You just printed off your own. That's so bad.
I'd just like to confirm that I don't have my own certificate from Mummy merch.
Also, with you and me, there were points where I was like, Jesus, I am howling there. And then my howl came in and I realized that it's you going,
You know it is, I know.
So we've got like, it sounds like a baboon's mating call between us. It's like Grant's there going, ho, ho, ho. And we're like fucking going for it. I'm swinging for the fences.
Well, I'm going ho up. I'm pretty muted because it was fairly pointedly directed at me. With the Scottish peasant salad.
That might be my favourite quote from the whole show so far. It's just Martin's just you're just
it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, you're very astute, which is quite annoying, but it's good. And
Oysters versus
and that was a pretty good accent. I've got to say that was a pretty good accent. Like I normally I'm like it makes my skin crawl when people do it, but yeah, you do a good unenthusiastic Scottish accent.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the only one I've done where I bring it all down in like just depressing because it's peasant Scottish.
Yeah, you weren't as impressed with the one in the current episode, I think, that's out to this week.
No. We once again, our dear listeners of Scotland, we apologise.
Yeah, you've really ramped it up recently.
Yeah, but between those two, though, if that the latest episode is coming in at number 2, number 1 is definitely the peasant Scottish salad.
It's brilliant.
Also, the partridge element, like knowing Grant, knowing you, that was like you just did.
I wasn't prepared for reading out the whole thing. And
you committed.
I committed, and I couldn't go back. And then, before you know it, you're partridge, and you just have to keep.
Is that who you were channeling? Do you think?
Oh, you've got to be with your with the Claudia Lundahl. I mean, in Oban is just so good.
I guess maybe going sort of where Partridge gets his influence going back to like Tony Blackburn, you know.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
We'll link them in the show notes, guys. Don't worry.
There we go. Lots of fun. And do go and check out one of the finest authors of alcohol available today, Mr. Pete Brown. He's got 11 books out there. Do go check them all out. And whilst you're looking, get Ciderology by Gabe Cook as well, won't you? So where are we on our countdown? I've lost count because my eyes are watering. This is amazing.
That's all right. We're at the top 3 now. We're at number 3 here.
Oh, mate. We're past the losers now. We're into the winning 3. Coming in at bronze.
So the number 3 episode in our countdown is episode 2, which is titled "My Sister Works at Wix."
We just need to play the whole episode now, don't we? That was just certainly Ryan's interview, pure gold.
By the way, that title is the most throwaway tiny comment in what is a solid interview for the longest time, but it got a huge laugh, so we decided to make that the title. But yes, it features
Perfect.
Ryan from the Caledonian Cider Factory, and the interview is great. Now, to preface this interview, we need to be clear that this was number 2 in our attempts to interview Ryan, because we did the first one and he did it on his phone, and we saw basically his chin and his forehead for the video, and we had a lot of audio issues. So we rescheduled and did this again. He was nice enough to run up to the tackle and bait shop up the street and get a headset. Which you will hear static for the whole thing. So I could not get it out to save my life. But really good interview. I feel like coming in, he was 100% game to be in, answer questions, and offer a lot of information. But what you'll hear in this clip is early on in the interview, of course. And by the way, I've interviewed a lot of artists in my presenter days in radio and otherwise. Yeah, just bragging. Wanted to take this moment to brag about my history. But I have never had an experience where someone is attacked during an interview like Ryan was. So early on in our interview with Ryan, he notices a giant spider that comes into the room. I assume is coming towards him because he seems moderately frightened by it. And to make matters worse, he's got a headset that's attached. It's not even a wireless headset. So he's attached and he's worried he can't get away from the spider. He calmly notices his cat come in and feels like his cat's going to take care of the spider, which I don't think does. And then the bigger part of this clip, which you're going to hear, is Ryan mentioned in our first interview as a throwaway comment that he nibbles on leaves of apples. And we walked away from that interview and we could not stop talking about that. We were like, wait, is that a thing?
We've lost him.
So we walked away from that like we couldn't believe that was a thing. So when we had the chance to interview him again, we made it pretty much the central experiment of this interview. It's the central concept and question that we talk about for probably 50 to 60% of the entire interview is his practice of nibbling on leaves and how that affects his choices in terms of what he brews. And I think to hilarious effect. So here we go. The number 3 episode on our top 7 of 2020 countdown. Grant.
A leafy tree. It's number 3.
What are the challenges of making cider in your area? And trying to explain it to someone who especially isn't from the UK, but what makes Scotland hard to make cider? Why is this not been done really much?
Yeah, so I mean, we're about 700. Oh, there's an enormous spider just coming across my line. Fine. I'm not gonna panic. But the thing is, I'm tied onto this computer with these headphones, and I feel like if I need to get up and get away, I don't know.
Ryan, I've met you. You are quite a manly man. You've got broad shoulders and you've got a decent girth of bicep. This is quite amusing.
If you want, you can take off the headset for a second and
That's good.
move if you want.
The
You sure?
cat's just come in. Cat's gonna eat the spider. It's great. Yeah, it's a really good distance away, and our weather is so different to what we get down in the southwest. So we're working with the same apple varieties, but the thing with those varieties, like I said, with the Dabinet and the Arlington Mill, is they're all in. She didn't eat the spice, by the way, it's still there. I wish I still had my phone. I could turn it around and shown you this beastly thing. Like, it's what a size.
Brian, we've heard it on the grapevine, or via the apple orchard, as it were, that you do quite enjoy on occasion, whilst going through these orchards, to have a nibble on a leaf of an apple tree. Now, what is it about this non-fruiting part of the tree that provides some kind of interest? Because actually, I'm going to answer my own question partly. That I know that you make a cider, the Cruve Lion, which was one of my favourite ciders that I tasted this year. Full stop, amazing. And I think completely gone now. So if anybody's listening, you can't try it. Hooray!
Thanks, guys.
But yeah, that's really, really useful. But you fermented on some kind of prunings there, and with Sanford orchards and doing their on leaf fermentation, is there something about the other sort of green or woody elements of the orchard environment that obviously have some part to play in terms of the cider making process? I find it quite fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, that's what really set me going on it. I can't claim full credit for the on-leaf fermentation thing. When I think Barney put out a blog post on what he was doing with Exeter University to do the on-leaf fermentation, I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. Because anything that's innovative, like what I would consider to be genuinely innovative within cider, I'm instantly lit up by that. I just think that's a brilliant idea. So I'm not above stealing ideas and trying them out,
Bravo,
and that was
well done.
That was a really good one. And I thought this is a great idea. You could go so much further with that. So yes, you can put leaves in with the fermentation, but you can also put in prunings from the orchard in there as well. And just like, as in like apple wood can go into it as well. So there's tons of stuff you can do with that. And it was really just because he named the variety of the apple, of the variety of the leaves that he put in with his fermentation, and it wasn't the same variety as the apples that he had used for his fermentation.
That's right. That always seemed weird, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I thought there's got to be something to this. So because of Barney, directly his fault, I've been eating leaves in the orchard while I'm out picking.
There's been several phone calls to the police about this odd gentleman eating leaves by the side of the road.
So are you saying that there's like single variety leaves, like that the variety of leaf is important?
What I've actually learned over the last few weeks, where I've really ramped up my leaf intake, because I've been spending a lot more time in the orchard. I've been spending a lot more time out in the orchards, obviously picking the apples and having a bit of a munch at the same time. And what I've found, which is quite interesting, is there are differences. There are differences, and what I thought initially might be differences between the varieties, they're just different from tree to tree. So, like, there's a whole row at the orchard I'm picking just now. There's a whole row of majors, and there's 25 trees, and they all taste different. So I've just I don't even know where to start anymore on leaves, to be honest. They're all different.
You've gone too far down the rabbit hole, Michael.
Leave it out, mate.
Oh,
it's true. They're all different. Every single one is different. They're all different. So you can't say, "Oh, Worcester pearmain's a really nice peppery sort of aroma on the leaf." Well,
but it's sort of wood sorrel-esque. Yeah.
Are you going to do Cruve Lion again? Cruve Lion,
I would love to do it again.
Did you pick specific
It's just
cuttings for that? When you did that, did you pick specific?
No, I didn't, because I wasn't sure there'd actually be a difference, and I don't know. I might do.
Well, because this is it. I mean, I know you say you can't necessarily say, "Oh, that these are Dabinet cuttings or these are Dabinet leaves." But if you find this is ridiculous, but if you find a tree that you're like, "Holy shit, that tree tastes amazing," that could be your one. That could be your guy.
I imagine that would be the sound pretty much that the Kelpies would make. You know, like the Kelpies at Falkirk when you're driving up the road. I think that's probably what the Kelpies would sound like. Could be wrong.
But in a Falkirk accent.
Yeah, it'd be more nasal.
I don't know what that is. Yeah. We don't want to offend any Falkirk listeners here. So.
Yeah, you do.
So
Yeah, well, why?
fuck them.
What are you? What are the Falkirk listeners potentially going to be like if they somehow found the Neutral Cider Hotel?
A bunch of horse worshippers.
But not dolphin horse.
Oh, that coming from a leaf eater. Fucking hell.
Oh, that's rich.
Yeah.
So I took it to my in-laws, because we always go to my in-laws for Christmas. Probably not this year, but you know, they stay through in Nairn. And the split the thing in their house, they always have like Bucks Fizz and champagne and stuff throughout the morning of Christmas. They're not cider people, you know. They're from the Highlands. They're whiskey people, really, if anything.
Are they leaf eaters?
No, not yet. So
You'll turn them. You'll turn them. Come on. Yeah, I like the optimism. The optimism's good.
They're not doing it by the glass, so you have to convince people to take a punt. Like you said, even you as someone who drinks cider constantly, I think you just said.
I'm a cider nerd.
To wash down the leaves. Yeah.
To wash down the leaves. the even £18 a bottle for you was like, holy shit.
Move on, Martin.
It's a big thing. I know.
You know, I've done lots of interesting things. You eat one leaf, all of a sudden. Yeah. You know. I'm sure there was a joke about fucking a sheep, wasn't there? You know?
Is present? I'm trying to keep this. Train of thought on the straight and narrow, and I'm really struggling. Is design something that's important to you? Is what I was trying to say before you mentioned fucking a sheep.
Thank you very much for joining the Neutral Cider Hotel. Hope that you enjoyed yourself. And we hoped to see you again sometime soon.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Sure, there's a sense of relief that you can leave now.
Oh, Christ.
Here he is. Here's the cunt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You just keep trying to get that line for the top of the show, don't you?
How long have you been thinking of that?
I googled leaf puns 10 minutes ago.
Hey.
Oh my.
Do you know
that was
what?
so good.
By the way, I didn't capture
so
every
good.
single time you guys asked him about. I got most of them, but there was in the 25 or so minutes we talked about leaves, you guys hit him on all fronts. I think, Grant, you had another one too. So there was about 7 hits, maybe 10 on leaf eating.
I mean, I liked Gabe when you asked about his family. It's like bringing the family into leaf eaters. Like you're not just, it doesn't just stop at him. It's like, we're going to go for the family as well.
And another one for Gabe there when he said wood sorrel-esque. Like that's just a Gabeism summed up, isn't it? Like notes of wood sorrel. Oh, Gabe on form.
Well, Andy also said during that, you're like, I've kind of answered my own question here.
When you see, at least I was self-aware at that point because that was only 30 seconds in rather than the whole 4 minutes. But
it's brilliant.
Will there ever be an episode that's got more fabulous quotes that, direct literal quotes? I've recently ramped up my leaf intake. The Falkirk horse worshippers. And
the fucking a sheep thing came out of nowhere.
That was quite nice.
I was like, trying to ask a question, think of a question.
Just enough to joy.
With the episode, just to preface it all by that was a re-record. And one of the things I loved about the first one that we didn't use was at the start when we're going through all the technology and Scott's like, headphones, microphone, all this. And Ryan was saying, oh no, I haven't got headphones. And we're like, have you not got headphones even without a microphone? He went, no. And then 40 40 minutes in, he went, "Oh, I'll just get the headphones."
Go get my
And Scott, your face was like, "Are you
it dropped.
fucking kidding?"
Yeah. Scott, you're an exceedingly kind, amenable person. You know, you've I say the patience of a saint, but you nearly went on the rampage at that point. There was fire and brimstone in your eyes. You were going to rain down the pain. Yeah, that was a moment.
I was just going to say, I love Brian and the fact that he came back. You guys ribbed him for almost the entire interview. He took it all, and he's a fan of the show. He still comments on our Instagram and things like that. So he's awesome. I love him.
Well, he came back as basically with a showman style. He came back with the Britney mic. It was literally like, even with the static, it's like, "It's Britney, bitch." It's like
which I'm sure he took back as soon as we were done recording. He ran it back to the
He was wanting to get his money back for it, wasn't
Totally.
I'm going back to get my £7.
I'm just going to go back to the fishing tackle shop. How do you buy a headset from a fishing tackle shop? I suppose.
Well, wait,
when you're up in Conan Bridge, up in the Highlands, it's.
Why is that? Because when I spoke to him before the kind of re-record, he's like, I'm gonna go to Tesco. In Dingwall, there's not many places here that you can get a headset, and I was like, cool, that's totally makes sense. That's a logical place to go for one of those things. And then when he came on and he was like, "Oh yeah, just been at the local tackle and bait shop," I was like, "What? Why was?" What
Do you reckon he was
there?
in there and he forgot? Like he was like, "Oh fuck the microphone! Oh, it's 5 o'clock. I won't be able to get one. Quick, you there, boy? Give me."
I could have a rifle through my stuff here.
What was funny as well, listening to that, like it's one of those where like I was a bit pissed off, but amazingly humorous about it, in that, like, with the spider interrupting, because I thought I asked a really good question about like Scotland and that, like, the struggle of it. And for listeners at home in America, the region kind of isn't synonymous with growing that kind of cider apple. So it was like I wanted him to explore that, and luckily we ended up with this like fucking he comes out like a fucking 5 Live radio football commentator when he's like, "Beastly thing, what a size."
Martin, are you saying that you're somewhat pissed off that you got upstaged by an arachnid in terms of your?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's my life summed up. Yeah, but
it was beastly.
It's more that he didn't go, "I'm sorry, where were we?" and then go into the question. It was like, "Move on, Martin."
That was the best.
Move on, Martin. That was
so good. That's the first.
good.
Yeah, that's the first time you've been called out. Like, "Move on, Martin."
Do you know what though? We're talking about the re-record, everything like that, and obviously we're ribbing him for the leaves. But when you're mining for comedy, because that isn't like, there's an interview there, and there's so much information. If you haven't listened to the episode, go back and listen to it, because he's a fucking informed man with a great story. It's awesome. But with that, and there's information galore, but what we've got there is just fucking banter. Like, that is pull up your seat to our table at the pub, and that's just 4 guys having a fucking laugh. So I'm so glad. With the first episode we recorded, it would have been quite formal and lean, whereas this is like, that's what I want. That's what I want from this podcast when I tune in, and I hope the guys at home do like that. Just, it feels like a pub, 7 o'clock, people are coming in, and it feels like you've just got a table. That's how it was to me.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. When you start snorting out of your nose with laughter, you know you're there. It's great. The pain, but it's the best feeling, isn't it? It's the best.
I think it was me that requested the title of that episode, because that "My Sister Works at Wix" was just, I just lost it. I just thought it was hilarious. One of the,
and it was such a throwaway line in the interview. Like, it was like nothing.
Yeah.
He just tossed it in there.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I mean, that's quite Partridge-esque as well, isn't it? It's just, there's the comedy in the subtle things and the colloquial things. And again, for anybody who's like in the USA, Wix is a hardware store. It's not funny of itself, but I suppose it's just layered on top of everything that had come before. That he's just a funny individual. People who's got a natural sort of funny talent, and it's great. And as well as being a really good sport. And I hope it really comes through, and I'm pretty sure it does, that we respect him for being an absolutely fantastic cider maker. Martin, you said it. He's amazingly informed. He really knows his stuff. Amazing.
Move on, Gabe.
Okay, so there we go. We're into our top 2. What are we expecting next, Scott?
That's right. So number 2 on our countdown is from episode 7, another recent one here. The title of that episode is Star Spangled Cider. which many might remember from Martin's spectacular impressions of the American founding forefathers.
Oh, no.
And the guest on that episode was Albert Johnson of, let me see if I get this right, Ross on Y.
Nailed it.
What was that?
Nailed it.
Ross.
Yes, Ross.
Ross on
Ross
what?
on what?
Oh, why? With a Y. It's callbacks in a callback episode. He's on it. He's fucking going.
What do you guys remember of this episode?
This is where we first spoke about the Cider George had posted about the Aldi cider. Gabe dives the guys back into the depressing world of minimum unit pricing. It says in the show notes.
Just keeping it light, everybody. Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't read the show notes, I spend a lot of time crafting comedy there as well. So go read some little soliloquial banquet of joy. Fucking hell. What?
So in this clip, taking everything that you guys picked in terms of your favorite moments here, you're going to hear... first up, Martin wants to give local bottle shops a shout out and ask listeners for their recommendations. He makes a mistake with one cider maker and then slags the cider maker for it.
Sounds bad.
Soon after that, Martin points to an article in The Guardian about Perry cider. And Gabe points out in the comments section there's a user named Winebore that is suggesting something other than the ciders mentioned, and again Martin slags away. You were on a tear on this episode.
Maybe I was just so pumped to do my.
You were angry.
Yeah,
I was nervous about the upcoming representation of the founding fathers. I think it was a lot of pressure, it would seem.
And then
I think I'd been drinking before. Fucking hell.
And then after that, on the heels of the mistake you made, it's pointed out by Gabe that you're having a bit of a quote Gollum moment, which inspires you to share your Gollum impression with us.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Grant ups the stakes and Gabe by asking you to combine those two with Cher, because you've done a Cher impression on a previous episode. So we get to hear the combination of both of those, which is priceless. And then lastly, Gabe, while talking to Albert in the interview from Ross on Y, suggests that some of the ciders can be a bit funky. And Grant corrects the record, and then Martin makes sure that Gabe gets to the point much quicker than he had anticipated. So here we go. Number 2 on our countdown.
It's number 2.
Anyway, moving on to something slightly more positive, or at least trying to show some positivity. Martin, tell us what's happening with bottle shops at the moment.
Yeah. So I went on to our Twitter and Instagram. That's Neutral Cider Pod at Twitter and Neutral Cider Hotel on Instagram, and basically asked for bottle shop recommendations for the lockdown. So in the UK, we're currently in a lockdown situation. And it was really important for me looking at it, all the people getting involved in cider, the last big lockdown in the UK, in England, sorry. And I just wanted to get people's shop owners what their ciders are and customers what ciders they like from them, and just reel through them quickly just to give them a shot. So Andy May on Twitter said, give Susie and Chris a shout out. Fram Ferment, they've got a cracking selection. Caledonian Cider recommends that too. Tom out of Wilding, and it's not the Wilding that we're thinking of, it's a very small guy who's just happened to got the same name.
What, he's a tiny guy. He's like
tiny man,
a micro man. Is he like
massive forearms, but no weight to him whatsoever? But he says,
hang on, isn't he Wildling cider?
No, he's wilding as well.
Oh, I'm not sure.
What,
about
making?
that.
He's a guy that's making cider.
Do you know what? If you're Tom, I've given you a fucking hello there, so I don't care. And we've also slagged your arms off. So if this ain't you, who cares? But Tom says Art and Craft London is a great shop. No, he actually said Art and Craft London is a great. So I've just added shop there.
Bravo. Well said. Good rundown, Martin.
Yeah, really good rundown.
Except the middle bit where I got that guy's name and called him a fuck, I guess.
Oh, you can't see the screen. Can you read that? Can you read that?
Oh, is that Wildling? Yeah, there we go. It's come into focus just after about 14 seconds there. Okay.
That's the delay.
Does it actually say Wildling?
He is Wildling Cider, yeah.
There is someone
Okay,
Wildling
good.
cider as well, yeah.
Called Tom.
Okay, so Tom Wilding. Jesus.
Oh, Christ.
Fucking hell. The Guardian have posted an article called "'Tis the Season to Drink Perry," where they explain probably the most misunderstood of drinks in our sort of British drink culture. And they pick out a list of their favourites for you to try. And one of them is Flaky Bark, single variety Perry from Ross on Wye. And another one that I've definitely had is Oliver's Pet Nat Perry 2019. And there's Once Upon a Tree, Butford, and Newton Court on there as well. So just good to see it, really, being promoted and being spoken about, because it's one that we've talked about here, and guests have said it as well, where it just doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, it's well, as you say, we've drunk and talked about this a little bit, and it's a magic drink, and it's something that's really special that we have a unique and small culture here. I'm just looking in the below the line comments, which on any newspaper is a dangerous thing, especially in the Guardian. It's pretty feral. And somebody who's aptly named a wine bore is their handle, is to say to them not to forget the likes of Eric Bordelais in Normandy. So there are these regions, these very small micro kind of regions of Perry around Northwest Europe, and yeah, it's just it's magic. I think it's a magic thing, and it's just awesome.
Isn't that just typical Guardian, though? It's about British Perry, and someone goes, "Oh, you should mention the other one that I really like." It's like, yeah, no, we get it, but just trying to get people on a journey, mate. Fucking hell. You don't have to prove you know. They don't know. That's why they're on a new Perry article. Like, fuck off, Wineball. Fuck off.
And that's how to invite the wine community within to cider. Employ Martin Goodwin Sharman.
Everyone's welcome here.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome except that one guy. Fuck him. Fuck you.
There we go.
It's probably Eric Bordelais. I mean, that's what I would do if I was Eric Bordelais. I would go and Google every Perry article and be like, actually, do you know whose is the best? Eric Bordelais.
And in fact, Winebore is right. The Poiré Granite that he mentions is absolutely banging.
It's lovely, don't get me wrong, but the whole point of that article is like, hello, we're going to introduce you to something. So I hate the snobbishness, but his fucking Perry is lovely, so do drink it. So I'm torn.
You're having like a Gollum moment.
For stupid wine bores.
Oh my God.
Brilliant. So add that to the list alongside Cher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good one. I think that's a good column.
Please, Martin, please, for the good of humanity, could you try and sing If I Could Turn Back Time as Gollum?
I had to do like a run up then.
Oh, yes.
Oh, if I could turn back time. I don't know actually the lyrics past that.
If I could find a way.
Well, yeah, no. Well, it's done now.
I could find a way, precious.
That was
Just
Gabe,
for the
right?
record, yeah, that wasn't me. Okay, now.
But there are two other elements that you really sort of major on too. The fact that you are a wild fermentation. So I was having a chat with someone earlier on today who didn't like the way that some cider makers utilized wild fermentation, or talking about wild fermentation as some kind of extra special thing. And I don't think that you do that. You just like to make ciders that are the sort of that natural expression. And then also around your utilization of wooden vessels, to which I might have made a comment on Neutral Cider Hotel previously that I said that the level of barrel within raison d'etre was maybe slightly higher than I personally would have wished. And
you said you fucking hated it, didn't you?
Grant, that's only 78% true. Well, I was going to say it's been said, and I know this because we briefly chatted about it on a separate conversation yesterday, that Ross and Y through the utilization of these wild yeast strains that we think maybe have like built up as a colony in the barn, etc., produces quite an idiosyncratic flavor profile and aromatic profile, which some people call the Broom Farm Funk.
Great band.
Yeah, great. Did you check out their 1976 hit, I Love My Dabonettes?
Fucking
moving on. Actually, Broom Farm, Albert Johnson and the Dabonettes. That's a true Motown band. Anyway, we digress ever so slightly.
You digress.
Yeah, don't drag us in this. Finish your question. Fucking hell.
Broom Farm Funk. Do you think that's the thing?
So I don't like funk. In fact, my dad and I, the principle
music or flavor
no, I quite like funk. I mean,
I'll go watch my dad's band every now and then.
Confusing.
I love that exchange at the end so much.
I don't like funk. I quite like funk.
Again, Gabe, it's a fucking yes or no question.
I know, but there's so much to get in.
When you put a question mark on a sentence, do you look back behind it and go, oh, this is all leading to a binary? Like, the nuance is what people are listening for. That, like, journey. Fucking.
Dare I say that when I started that question, I didn't necessarily know the journey it was going to take in order to get to the end, and that's part. That's part of the.
Seems like your interview technique.
That's part of the Rain Man joy, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Let's be honest. The road to your question. Sure, it may be long, winding, and beautiful, but it invites so many roadblocks. And I mean, we put some beautiful roadblocks in there. And the point that the diversion to funk as a genre became just a chef kiss. But I will say that I made some notes listening to that. And the top one is, and we've also slagged your arms off, which is just
one of my favorite moments of the entire year so far.
He's a tiny guy.
And he actually tweeted as well. Did you see that he tweeted? Thanks for the mention, guys. If you ever want to do a feature on a really small guy with big arms who makes cider for a few years and then discovers someone with almost exactly the same name making cider on a larger scale, I'm your man.
Brilliant.
Great podcast as ever.
Brilliant. Tom, Wildling, we love you. Well done, my friend.
Oh, I just want to give a little background to that thought process, because I've spent so much time behind bars. And one thing, you have to kind of keep yourself entertained in weird moments. So there's always points where people come in and go like, sorry, has Johnny been in? And I'm really bad with names, so I just call everyone Bud in the bar. But a good classic joke is just to go, the guy with really long forearms, and watching people like think it through. And a lot of the time they go, yeah. You're like, amazing. I don't know who you're talking about, but like, I'm glad you're now thinking about like, does he have really long arms?
How long are his forearms? Eh?
Yeah. But it's one of those. It's like the Darren Brown like interrupt. If you interrupt the normal flow, you end up with this just complete otherworldly like, fuck. Maybe his arms are really long. And that just bled into the podcast, so I'm glad.
That was so good. I really liked how, because I think I'd written down that both of those moments actually, the Perry, the response to Winebore, which was just great because it was just like, I didn't think anything of it when you read that out, Gabe, and Martin just like, no, do you know what? Fuck off. And then, Gabe, you tried to bring it back and go, well, Winebore's actually right. And he's like, yeah, I know he's fucking right. But it's like, okay, he's not hot.
That drink, guys, we've all had that drink. Out of 10, it's like an 8, 9, or 10. Like it's a phenomenal drink. He knows exactly what he's doing. My problem is, the Winebore's not wrong again, but just the idea of the snobbiness and like, again, we try so hard to make it like an inclusive celebration of a drink we all fucking adore, and it just that like one up like gatekeepingness. I don't want to see that in cider. That can fuck off. That can die in a fucking ditch with tiny arms.
Well,
Fuck
can I say that the one of the ciders in that list, the Newton Court Black Mountain Perry, is beautiful. If you haven't tried that one yet, it's maybe it's not available. We keep doing this. We keep recommending
drink this cider. You can't drink it. Yay!
Yeah. Sorry, American listeners.
I thought you can't drink it. Oh, shit.
Scott's like, mate, I've not tried any of these. But no, it is a good. I think it might be bad and it might be sold out. But Grant, tell us about it, because if it isn't and someone gets it,
yeah,
fucking winner.
Well, I mean, I not too long ago ordered it from Newton Court's website and got 6 bottles of it. I fell in love with it at the Big Apple. Would that be
2019?
Yeah, it must have been the Blossom.
Yeah,
was it the Blossom one? Yeah, and Newton Court. Is it Paul was there? Bought a bottle of it, sat outside with Jay and I think yourself, Gabe, and it was just one of those moments that however good or bad that Perry or cider is in that moment, it was exactly what it needed to be, and it just, when I drink it, it takes me back there, and that makes me happy, and I do think it's a really great Perry, and actually Adam Wells has written about it on Malt as well, but for me it's literally that kind of moment, and where the kind of cider, I don't know, life
everything in
or
its right place
just became a reality, and it was superb.
Were you starting Restock then, or like how was your journey into a business baked into that moment? Because you've put like all your chips behind cider. There's a point financially for you where you went, this is it. So was that like around that time?
So I wouldn't have started yet. No, it was me still not really knowing what I wanted to do in cider, knowing that I wanted to, having moved away from music and knowing that wasn't what I wanted to do. Not even just being in a band or being a drummer. Obviously, there were options beyond that after the band finished, but knowing that cider was where I wanted to be, I was still like, oh, should I make it? Should I sell it for people? Should I help other people make it? And I during that trip visited James and Susanna at Little Pomona, and I think, if anything, seeing what they do and how they do it, that sort of spurred me on to go, right, I need to get what they're doing to other people.
You need to amplify their voice rather than put your voice in the mix.
Yeah, and not, and also it's like, shit, this is, for me to get anywhere close to what they're doing by trying to make it, it's going to take me about 35 years. So,
but is that the drummer's sensibility of you of wanting to be in the back? Like, are you?
Yeah,
because you could have easily gone, fuck no, I'm going to just give it a try. Like you're carrying the beat almost by like bringing it to people.
I do actually think that is the case, and I have thought about that quite a lot. And that's a kind of it's what I'm used to doing, I guess, in a way, and even with the band as well, I was more interested, or just fell into the more kind of businessy role as well, and sort of made things happen.
But not social media.
No, not so much.
But seriously though, you were on the business side of it.
Well, just made things happen that I knew needed to happen in a kind of more practical sense. And the creative side certainly came from well, primarily Scott, but the other guys in the band as well. And so, I obviously now kind of everything I do links back to that life and how it fits in, and you're totally right, and it's great that you said that and I didn't. That it is a similar role of like, okay, well, you've got this thing that you've created and that you've made. I will be the kind of the facilitator, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And that, Gabe, is how you ask a fucking question.
Oh,
yes. Bada bing! One thing I did want to go on to, I know Gollum was brought up there, but yep. I thought I'd try bring Gollum back and do a bit of reading. I've just gone on Google and I found there's a book on Google Books where you can actually read 47 pages. So I wanted to read. What page is this? Oh, it doesn't have page numbers. Pretty adult, but it is.
Here we go.
I'm gonna have to get in the voice.
Do it. Yeah.
The principles of Ciderology, precious, are upheld by 6 core values. Have a true love of cider and perry, the perfect confluence of art, science, and nature.
I can't read any more than that, lads.
Nailed it.
Well done.
Yes. Nailed it. Couldn't have said it any better.
I thought I'll do all 6, and then I was like, fuck, I'm losing the voice already. I'm like 10 seconds in.
It's a tough task for Gollum to wade through all 6 core principles, of which if I didn't have my own copy of Ciderology by Gabe Cook to hand, I couldn't actually remember what all 6 of them were. But that's not the point.
Number 2 is slagging off arms. It's a real...
No, I think that's on your agenda. That's the Cider Shit Manifesto rather than Ciderology. Martin, I genuinely do agree. I think you're a really, really good interviewer. And this is as well as being master blender. And you said you were behind bars a lot earlier, and I wasn't quite sure whether that meant you've been to prison quite a lot, or for offending people, or for gratuitous share Gollum interpretations, or your work in hospitality. I suspect the latter. But yeah, man, you're a man of many talents. Man of many talents.
At least 2.
At least 2.
I also enjoyed the fact that Martin went on a slight tangent and Gabe tried to join in with the funk, and then Martin just smacked him fucking down. Like, nope.
I clearly had a drink because I was like, I've had a bottle of Albie Hill now, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to actually get into Gollum there. Like, to do that off the cuff is like the cavalier, like that cider shit where you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna just give it a go. So yeah, I can hear, I don't sound drunk, but I think my attitude that's so fuck you is definitely off my tits, so I'm really sorry, guys.
No, it's some of your finest work, and please don't stop.
Fun times.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, we have a
put in the fine cider. Yes. With a hoot.
There we go. So, after all this mirth and merriment and joy, it brings us to the top slot. We are about to hear our number 1, and well, let's see what it is. Scott, over to you.
All right, here we are. The number 1 episode of 2020 for Neutral Cider Hotel. This is a culmination of all of everyone's favorite moments pulled together. This one had the most, and I will say out of the gates, what you will hear, especially at the end of this clip, was the thing that I laughed at the hardest, especially when editing, and the most consistently. There was a night, I think, where I was sitting in my editing room by myself, laughing for a solid hour, listening to this 1 minute over and over again. So it deservedly gets the number one spot. It is episode 6. We called it "Your Kids Will Be Slaves to the Spiders." It featured Helen Ann Smith as our guest.
Absolutely phenomenal guest as well.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Super fun, super funny, had a good time. And so on this particular episode, before I go into this, I'm wildly curious what you guys remember of this episode.
I remember interviewing Helen because they're one of the guests that I was like really interested in their insight before we began the interview. So I remember that part. I don't actually remember what we tasted because was this a re-record?
Oh, of course it was a re-record. There's at least a 50% chance of every episode being a re-record if I've had involvement in it.
What did we taste? Because I remember on the first one we were showcasing cider to Helen, so it was like we were bringing them different ciders. So what was the after one where we didn't do that?
We tasted Sunstrom.
We did the Sunstrom 3 ways, wasn't it? We all had a slightly different one.
Of course, that's why this episode as well.
And it was the first, so that was the first gusher that I had.
You nearly had a gusher then, and I was taking a sip as you said that.
That was the first bottle, first of many that I've opened that was slightly lively and active.
So what is the deal with that? Why is it that your bottles specifically explode while Martin's and Gabe's do not?
Steady hands here.
Steady hands. But do you know? I think it's you storing it upright is the correct way, or is the better way to store it in the fridge. The fridge I had before, I couldn't do that. Basically, my shelves would not allow it, so it would always get stored on its side, and then you open it, and that generally is that right?
Really?
I feel like that's. I think so. Yeah. No,
Gabe.
I just
Gabe,
made that up.
You jump on in on that one.
I mean, I don't necessarily know. I don't know.
I mean, with something that's bottle conditioned or hasn't been disgorged
for long-term storage. So when opening it, endeavor to do it sort of on the angle. If something is going to be mega lively, it's going to be mega lively, and in the instances when you have opened up something and it's been lively, it's not something that we have opened up at the same time. So I think, to give you your credit, Grant, you've just been unlucky. It's either that or the extra distribution it's taken to go all the way up to Glasgow and now to your new home. Maybe that just rattling around in the van.
That'll do it.
Up the A6 and into the A74, whatever is probably enough.
American listeners, you'll love that road reference.
Yeah, it's a particularly good road.
Like someone saying to us, Route 41, and we're like, oh yeah, obviously.
Like Route 66, only only wetter.
The A41 isn't the fucking Route 66, is it? It's not this like historical journey through America and the American like the dream and the road. It's like miserable, gutsy rain and traffic. So no. Bruce Springsteen is not like singing about the A37, is he?
So in this episode, you're going to hear at the start of this clip, Gabe, who we all love dearly, often loves to start the show.
That's a great preface, isn't it?
I agree. Yes. I want to be clear about that.
Thanks.
But you love to start the show with something random and catch the guys off guard, which absolutely makes for great conversation. So in this particular episode, you decided to anagram the name of the show and offer those anagrams to the guys. Martin took his with a little bit of confusion, but Grant was downright shocked and surprised at his, which for any astute listeners, they will hear a reference to this anagram before this episode actually aired because we had a little bit of a binning and re-recording. So if you heard an episode where we referenced crenellated urolith and you didn't understand what it meant, now you know that it is in episode 6 where we define it. After that clip, Martin has been teasing Grant, of course, in several episodes about his sometimes dry and unenthusiastic speaking style, especially at times when the moment could call for just a bit of enthusiasm. And in this particular episode, Martin is, of course, at it again. First up, during the interview with Helen Ann Smith, Grant asks Helen about their vision and goals for Bidham. Grant picks up on it and brushes it off, but Martin obviously can't stop laughing. And then... obviously. But then near the very end of the episode, the last about minute or two of the episode, Ryan from the Caledonian Cider Factory submitted a listener question for us. Martin slags him off. Dude, that seems to be a theme in all of these clips. But Gabe comes back and tries to bring some civility. And in the middle of his answer, Grant sees an opportunity to make a quick and funny joke about spiders, but his deadpan delivery is just a tiny bit too much for Martin to handle, who at this point pretty much has a heart attack or very close to it. He's laughing so hard. And this is that moment that I also could not stop laughing. So this is our number 1 episode of 2020 for the Neutral Cider Hotel.
Number 1. It's the best, isn't it?
But the thing that's got me most excited is that I decided to anagram Neutral Cider Hotel earlier on, and there are some fantastic names. So, ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be oracled there until, which is precisely what you're going to be for the next hour or so of fantastic chat. And joining me on this delectation hurler, I think you know where I'm going with this one, it's Mr. Martin Goodwin Sharman. Dear friend, how you doing?
Good. I'm just hurling oracles. What was the anagram?
Oracled there until. Oh, I mean, that is sexy.
There until. Yeah, like call me off guard.
And also joining us, as ever, it's the very special crenellated urolith, Mr. Grant.
Right, no. No, right? What is that? What even is that?
Yes.
I don't know.
Really? Oh, that's so good.
Anything that's got a euro at the start, we're talking a little bit.
So you're going to have to spell that.
Say it again.
Crenellated urolith.
Urolith as in Europe.
A URO as in urinary tract.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm not sure what crenellated means. Oh, so crenellated means providing a wall of a building with battlements. And,
obviously.
And a urolith. This is live, isn't this amazing, ladies and gentlemen? Fantastic, riveting stuff. Hearing me. It's a bladder stone. So you've got an embattled bladder stone. That's what I've called you, basically. I mean, let's be fair. You've probably been called worse, haven't you? I certainly have.
I'd say that's pretty accurate. I mean, I would say one of those is going to be a pretty hardy thing, right?
Tell you what, it's going to be bloody painful, isn't it?
Sore.
Of course, cider will never give you a bladder stone because the acidity breaks down the stones, says Dr. Gabe with no medical evidence whatsoever. Whoa. Moving on.
No, don't give out medical advice just in case we get fucking sued or some shit. Like I'm not getting taken down by Dr. Gabe Cook with his fucking one book
because of a bladder stone.
Can I clarify for the record? I am not a qualified doctor.
Where would you like to see it go? How would you like to see it grow? Where do you see Bidham being, next year or in 2 years' time? Or what's your plans with it?
I mean...
I sounded like you're like a dad or something, didn't I? What are your plans with my Bidham?
or
I know.
a job interview.
I know it was. Yes, you applied for the light design job. Sorry, that's come up too many times.
It's
That's
also
fucking...
painful because I didn't get so many of them. I.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Grant. Oh, Grant.
No, I'm joking.
Oh, you made me feel really bad
no,
now.
I'm joking. I left that industry, I was the one that closed the door.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thanks, Martin.
I'm still,
Fuck you, lighting
I'm
industry.
still enamored by the whole. Tell me where you see yourself in 5 years.
Why do you always take the piss out of my enthusiasm? It's as I keep saying to you, it's inward, and it's there. It's just not for everyone to see.
Okay, it's not for Helen right now. So Helen, where'd you see the Barium Collective?
Sorry, Martin.
Sorry, Martin.
Yeah, where'd you see the Barium Collective, Helen? Where do you see it? It's my me happy voice.
And last but not least, Ryan from the Caledonian Cider Company asks, what will our cider world look like in 2040? What happens when Tom Oliver retires? What happens if Heineken buy a majority stake in Little Pomona? When my back finally gives out, will my kids want to keep Caledonian cider going?
Etc.
Etc. Etc. Etc. Just a bleak one to end on, I guess. Yeah, to be honest, Ryan, if that happens, you fucking live to 24. That's fine. Just enjoy the now. Shut the fuck up. Just leave it there.
Ask your kids. Don't ask me what your kids are going to do.
Yeah. What will my kids do carrying on my legacy? Fuck your legacy. Chill out.
On the other hand, my response to Ryan would be looking to the future. Do you know what? Cider will probably not be massively different from how it is now, but it will still be here, and there will still be massively passionate people. There will still be some amazing ciders being made and drunk and enjoyed by friends. There will still be the three of us doing the Neutral Cider Hotel in 2040. We would have done 3,042 episodes.
We would have done 36 episodes by then, be real. The amount of re-records.
We would have done...
Because you'll still be on fucking Firefox.
We would have done 3,000, just I would have kept forgetting to be on the correct browser.
And also... Tackle and Guns will still be open, Ryan, so you can buy a headset for the 80,000.
We'll do like a. Remember, there was a TV show in Britain called 7 Up, not to be confused with the soft drink, whereby they followed the lives of a load of children, and they sort of every 7 years they sort of touched base with them once again to see what had happened to them. And some people had success, and some people found great hardship. I would like to do that with Ryan to see every 7 years what has happened, and how large the spiders have got in. On the Black Isle.
Maybe the spiders will take over the cider.
Maybe the spiders will.
And your kids
will
be slaves to the spiders.
Cider, just from the way that it's made and everything around it, does not... Oh, we've lost him. There you go. We've lost him.
Maybe your children will be slaves to the spiders.
Oh, come on.
This troll, this fucking miserablest troll. Maybe your children will be slaves to the spiders.
You're not going to go down well in Scotland if you ever visit.
Honestly, I expect to be glassed, but you know what? That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I think we can leave it at that.
Wow. Oh my God.
Hey, there we go.
That clip encapsulated the show so perfectly because Gabe is trying to hold the show on track.
You're trying so hard, Gabe.
Trying to like just make a good point. Grant comes in with a good joke, but the enthusiasm Martin cannot resist jumping on.
You sounded like you were having a fit.
My note when I read that was a seal having CPR, because it's the intake, and what's good is like I feel like you in like growing up with kind of anime and Dragon Ball Z, there's levels. So like a character would get to like Super Saiyan level 4, and that felt like you'd unlocked a new laugh from how funny it was. Like I've not witnessed myself do that, so props. But I said as well, like, Gabe, what I love about that, and I jest the whole way through, but you're so good at anchoring it in such a positive and like phenomenally earnest place. Like your answer's so genuine, and I love it. I genuinely do, because
hold on. He mentioned the spiders.
No, and that's fine, because it's like it's on brand for his funny, and it's like, oh well, like there's a little gentle jest, but like then you come in with like, you open it up, but what you do, Grant, when you talk is you explore it as you're thinking you're talking. So you go, maybe the children be slaves to the spiders. Like that's like you're going, yeah, then that's the thought I wanted to commit, and then I just die because I'm like, what you've said does not match the timbre of how you've said it. You haven't gone, well, maybe your kids. Like it's quite a weird, threatening sentence when you say it like that. So I was caught. It was like so left field, and it was right down the middle. So I just got hit by the ball of like, fuck. Well, now I'm laughing, and I physically couldn't handle it.
I'm trying to remember if I drank a lot.
That one you
episode.
had. That one you had, and I think it was. Was it the Eves one? No, it wasn't the Eves one. There was one where you came in and afterwards you were wild, but then afterwards you texted going, all right guys, I'm pretty drunk.
It must have been that one.
I think it unfortunately might have been a binned episode.
Yes.
Sadly, but, it was one of the episodes on fucking Firefox, unfortunately.
I think I drank that Sunstrom in about 5 minutes.
That was all of it. I know we
possibly
had different ones,
know,
but they were delicious, weren't they? They were fucking gorgeous. But I did. It's one where I realized all the way through that I was listening through and making notes, and like the questions, everything. Like I don't think I go for the jugular that much, but listening back, I'm like, fuck, who is this knobhead? Like, and it's worse because it's such a mirror. Like it's it's just a polished up mirror where it's exactly what I said. And I'm hearing it like, oh, just calm down, man. It's small man syndrome over here. Fucking hell.
No.
I don't think that is fair. It's
only Mr. Really positive thing.
Exactly.
Like,
there you go. You see, we all. It's the
triumvirate of triumph.
Well, you said it. Oh, there you go. You see, I don't even need to be here anymore. You got it. You see, just be a little bit more positive, and then you're grand.
But it encapsulates you guys perfectly, right? Like with Gabe holding kind of the fort, driving the train, getting it moving forward. Grant finding his moments where he lays in, like earlier in the clip when you said they had applied for the lighting job. It was so damn perfect. Like you find your moments and you hit it out of the park. Like it's so perfect.
It's like you said, Martin, and I wasn't really aware of it, where I don't really know what I'm going to say. So I just sort of talking, and then like when I asked that question, I asked Helen that question. It was one question, but for some reason I decided to word it 4 ways, one after the other. You've
been spending too much time with me, my friend. That's what it is. Don't worry.
I mean, I didn't. It wasn't a yes or no. It was still an open-ended question. But
it's not going to go that far, Gabe. Come on.
No, but for some reason I just decided. I need to explain. Like they're not going to understand
I think it's a weird one though. It's like it's not a lack of confidence, but I do it as well. Where if you get to the end of the question and it doesn't feel like it sounds silly, but like in language, you either go up or down, and certain regions have that built in. And if you don't say like at the end of it, well, did you? And if you don't go up, if you say, well, did you? You go, oh well, and then you over add the question, and you're like, fuck, I'm halfway through.
We're all aware of my lack of intonation.
was that a question?
I don't know. I don't even know.
I just had, not to give him an advert, but I've just had a sip of Pilton Solstice, and as you said that, I inhaled as I drank, and now there's a burning fucking sensation in my fucking skull. Oh my god!
Sorry.
We all knew about my intonation. Oh my god! It's like hot.
That was so good. That was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad we did a re-record of that.
Yes, of course.
It just felt so, even just during the re-record of the interview, not having listened back to it, but it just felt better. Helen felt more at ease. We so did we, and yeah, there's a lot of. I think before we all embarked on this whole podcast thing, I don't know if you guys agree, but I thought, we'll just sit here for like an hour and we'll just record a podcast.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. And Scott's looking at us now like, you fucking idiots.
But you've come from a band element, but like I study film and I've made film, and it's like for a 2-minute film, you can times it by 1,000 the minutes, like infinitely. Everything you see.
Yeah, same with a song.
But that's what I'm getting. And we all did it where we're like, well, no, it's just riffing, isn't it? And it's like, it's not that this is so highly crafted, like refined riffing. It's that it's hard getting into a position where you can talk into the mic comfortably to then have something where you give off something of yourself so someone can like riff off that and have banter. Like the levels of we've removed everything socially normal from a fucking conversation at a pub, and we've put every barrier into it, and we're trying to recreate it. It's like, so coming into it, like you said, I thought 2 hours tops for an hour podcast. And we're on hour 7
of an episode that half of it has already been recorded.
Jesus.
That's right.
I'm glad that was the top spot. I know we all picked our favorites, and Scott cherry picked it and organized it. So thank you, Scott, again.
Yeah,
bravo. Yeah. Well done, Scott. Thank you for everything, for keeping
just going through it, but. Fucking yeah, I'm glad the order was that, because I feel, obviously we've drank and we've gone through this episode, but I've laughed harder and harder and harder as they've gone. So clearly, he's fucking got it.
Yeah. Turns out you know what you're doing.
It's almost like you're a professional, Scott. It's fantastic. Well done. Well, what can we say? From 3 quite unprofessional podcasters to 1 fantastic producer. Scott, thank you very much. And what a big thank you also to you, all the listeners who have joined us at the beginning of our cider podcast journey here at the Neutral Cider Hotel. We're still finding our feet, and certainly, as you've heard from tonight, having a lot of fun with it. And, thank you all very much for joining in for the ride. Before we sign off, obviously, I need to have a gratuitous tag. Please do subscribe, rate, and review Neutral Cider Hotel on Apple Podcasts. Follow on Spotify. Listen on your favorite podcast app. On Instagram, we're Neutral Cider Hotel. On Twitter, we are Neutral Cider Pod. The website is neutralciderhotel.com. So there we go. That's 2020 done. It's easy, this podcast lark, isn't it? That's 1 year done. Well, at least that's 10 episodes done, or circa thereabout. 2021, big year ahead. What do we think? Guys? Is it going to be a good year? Well, we have to say yes, don't we? Please.
No, Grant, you can't say that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it's going to be brilliant. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Well, before we go, I think it's a good time to reflect on 2020 and what you guys either if you can find positive about it and or what you're looking forward to in 2021.
Well, let's hit this shuttlecock right over it, Scott, and ask you what are your thoughts on it? Like you've been the eye over the show. Like you're not insider as much as we are, and you've gone along the journey. Like, how have you seen it this year, and what are your aspirations for 2021?
Well, I mean, out of the gates, I'd say first thing is I'm just so delighted to have been a part of this podcast. Like Grant and I had been talking for many years about a lot of different things. I've known him for a while, and when he brought up the idea of a podcast, I was excited to help him work through it, but I didn't really know kind of the process or anything. And what I've said to you guys individually, but I mean sincerely, is that the friendships and the times that we've had in 2020, especially given the pandemic, and over here in the States, how horrible the politics and everything else is in the general day. The amount of laughter and good times I've had every time we record and get to hang out is something that I couldn't even put a price on. It's so invaluable. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. It's probably the highlight for me of 2020 is just making the friendships and the hangs with you guys. So super grateful for that. And in terms of 2021, I mean, I feel like, we've just gotten started. You guys keep getting better and better every time. Like, I think this podcast is really something to be on notice for everybody else, that we're going to be a force to be reckoned with in a big way, because it's great. I mean, I have to listen to it 15 to 20 times a week when I edit it, but I still enjoy it, and I go back and listen once we release it and hear the final cut and everything. And I think what we're creating here is extremely compelling and fun. And I'm very excited for that. Also, the fact that I have expanded. I mean, I've been drinking cider for years before I met any of you guys, but pretty much just like boring supermarket, what I could find easily. And in the States, it's not like hearing you guys talk about the kinds of ciders that you guys drink and the notes and the aromas and all the different things makes me excited for the kinds of things on my cider journey that I have to look forward to, because I haven't had those experiences yet. And every time as we've going on, I constantly go out to bottle shops in my neighborhood and try and find more extravagant ciders, and have found some things that have been absolutely spectacular and have been excited about that. But yeah, I think 2021 is a year of hope and inspiration, and I'm really excited for it.
Perfect. Well, we've got some ciders definitely coming to you in the new year as well. Like, that's going to be a big thing that we're going to work on as well. But
I'm pretty jealous of the fact that I can't find all the stuff that you guys drink all the time. I've gone.
But you're in the same position as our American listeners. So I feel bad for people listening when we're like, oh, this niche release from Little Pomona in Herefordshire down in England where we are. Oh, it's a hoot. So
it is a hoot.
But,
I will do my best to try and highlight as much of the American stuff as I can find to help those American listeners find some good stuff as well.
Yeah, and for you, Grant, what are how was 2020 for you, and what are you looking at 2021 to bring?
2020 for me was it was superb. I had a daughter, lovely daughter.
Hooray!
Yeah, it was lovely.
Was his past tense? That's what's going on. Yeah, it was lovely.
She was lovely.
She keeps waking me up now.
Shit. And in terms of cider, this was year one of my company, my business, and what a ridiculously strange one to start with. But for me, it's kind of, in spite of everything that's happened, seeing how, the cider community, cider makers, bars, shops, everyone's coped with that. makes me really excited and positive about the future of the cider industry. I feel like the response to it has been excellent. The amount of great. I think you've said this before, Martin. Like you can't remember the last time you had a bad cider.
Yeah.
Like that's.
We're in a blessed position,
and you've had a lot. You've had a lot.
Yeah.
So yes, it's been as it has for everyone, been strange, but ultimately for me on a personal level has been extremely positive. And 2021, who knows? Like, I don't know. It's just so unpredictable, and I wouldn't want to predict that great things will happen and we have a vaccine and we can hug people that we love and things. But I'm going to open this bar that you want to come to. So that's
do
the main
brother.
thing.
With 2020, and we've got the ciderologist here. You made a big jump, Gabe. Same as Grant going into Restore, but you made it becoming the ciderologist. How was 2020 being essentially just a sole advocate for cider? And I mean, we're on the podcast, we talk all the time, but it's like, you put your name, money, everything behind cider. So how was it this year, and what are your aspirations for 2021?
Yeah, it's this year started with the promise of a lot of exciting global activity, working on sort of competitions in various bits of Europe and events and talks and tastings, and it was looking bright and rosy. And obviously everything changed, and my entire business model apparently was based upon face-to-face interaction, which is the singular thing that has not been allowed pretty much for the course of this year. So, like many people, I've had to adapt. And actually, I will give myself a pat on the back for sort of just having a crack at doing it and stepping up to it. And there's been lots of interesting things that have come along the way. So it's engendered a lot of entrepreneurial spirit in me and significant numbers of other people within not just cider, but all booze, all food, all hospitality. So, undoubtedly, obviously, it's been like a ridiculously challenging year, but there's a lot to take from it. And you know what? I've been saying for 2, 3, 4 years that, cider's undergoing this journey and there's so many cool things and it's moving and it's gravitating towards some vague small approximation of what's going to happen for beer with sort of the craft movement. Not saying that it will ever be as big as what was happening for craft beer, but it will take something for there to be a bit of a tipping point. And in many ways, I'm just now on the hoof starting to think that very randomly that COVID might actually kind of be that, because what we have seen this year, whether it was going to happen anyway or whether it's just been massively sort of highlighted and with a magnifying glass sort of put on it, but certainly from a UK perspective and a European perspective, there's been a bit of hype around cider. There's been fun, there's been noise, there's been brightness, there's been exclusivity, there's been people, new people coming to blogging about it, writing about it. The fact that we are here doing this podcast is indicative that this change is happening right now, and actually I think it has accelerated this year. So, so out of challenge, I think possibly comes real sort of positivity. And, going into next year, obviously the momentous thing, the thing that's going to be rocking the literary world is the fact that Modern British Cider from Gabe Cook is going to be coming out. Bong, thank you very much. And for me, 2020 and a lot of the activity was due to be like international stuff, like going to Norway and doing some amazing things, having the opportunity to do things there and an awesome new sort of cider scene that's emerging there and in other parts of the world. But actually, this year has taught that some of the most exciting thing and some of the tastiest ciders that are being made on the planet are right here. And I knew that, but it just takes sometimes something to sort of take stock. So I'm looking forward just to getting my teeth into
exploring what British cider looks like now, and championing these amazing producers and having a bit of fun along the way. I think that's quite an important thing too. And this is absolutely the reason for Neutral Cider Hotel, that entertainment and that education and that interactivity and hookup with you wonderful people too. So, challenge and opportunity in equal measure. Let's smash through into 2021. That's what I think.
Martin, what about you? Since you've asked all of us, it's your turn.
Well, first off, I think it would be amiss to understate the mental impact of this year on everyone. And for me, the thing that's got me through it has been that connection with a lot of people. Like, to be blunt, in hospitality, I work in a pub. I didn't realize how much socially I relied on customers, friends that come into the bar. And that disappeared quickly. And it's not that I started to unravel, but like I noticed I was very short on certain things. And to be honest, it was a lot of the fun was zapped out of a lot of things that I enjoy. And it was like, fuck, well, I've put a lot of stock in like my just general chit chat. I didn't realize it. And the things I'm thankful for in 2020 are my wife, who's now a cider widow to a podcast weekly. Hannah, I adore her. She's the funniest person I know. And she's just the nicest, kindest person. She'll do anything for any animal. And some people, she's not too keen on people, but she fucking...
We adore her as well, by the way.
Yeah.
We adore her.
But she's come to see this. Like, it seemed kind of like a job you don't get paid for. It was like, why the podcast? And then like you start a couple episodes in, she's listened to it and she's like, I get it. That's your pub. And if that makes you whole and content for like a week, it's just so nice that you've actually found a thing and identified it. And if that educates and entertains, like Gabe says, it's like a fucking win-win. But I'm just glad that I have something where it's like weekly, you can just fucking have banter. And the other thing that I'm really grateful for in 2020 was my bosses, Kelly and Bob of Good Chemistry Brewing. They have gone above and beyond at every stage of the pandemic. And I, as an employee, have never felt worry, stress, needed extra. And honestly, I nearly cried thinking about it today because they have been just phenomenal. So just really appreciate them as bosses. And it's tough being an employee in hospitality right now. So I can't even imagine what it's like being someone with capital, stock, and they've got two businesses. They've got a brewery and a pub. So just from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough for making me feel like everything is okay. And the other people, and we're all going to say it, the fucking listeners, people that are actually tuned in to us chatting.
Yes.
It's fun. And people have started quipping stuff back to me from this, which is just, honestly, like, again, I could cry thinking about people genuinely connecting with it, because this is an outlet for me. And knowing that people are receiving it, just warms my heart. But 2021, if it's anything like the quality and the approach to cider that we've seen in this year, I know coronavirus shone, like you said, Gabe, magnifying glass on it. It opened up what was there and it put it in the spotlight and said, all right, what have you got? And every maker seemed to be fucking banging out quality. If 2021 is anything close to that, if not an improvement, every drink we're going to have on this show is going to be fucking stellar. So I'm just thankful for that.
Nice.
Bravo. Well said. Well, there we go. I think everyone can, we can all feel the love and the appreciation and the wish and the desire for a positive future. So there we go. Neutral Cider Hotel 2020. Thank you all very much for listening to our highlights of listening to us laughing at us, laughing at us, laughing at, well, us, basically. I think that's pretty much a summation of how it goes. So we'll be back in the new year. We'll be back in 2021. So please do join us as per usual. But for now, Everyone, thank you very much for joining us. Cheers to you all. Happy New Year. Clinkety clink. We'll see you on the next side.
Happy New Year.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Happy New Year. Bye.